I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And this is Anti-Flag 2020 Vision. This is for the big homie River. For timely topical political commentary, you can hit us up in Middle America with Vin and Sori, where you, dear listener, can see why Vincent is simultaneously one of the most compelling and frustrating characters on the internet, and why he's so hard to love. These are according to my friends in the channel.
Somebody said that's why you're so hard to love?
Oh, what's his face? Peter. Peter says it. He says I'm hard to love. That's the way I like it, Peter. Okay. There's multiple ways to get your song reviewed, dear listener. My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon, where you meet the legendary Kellen Dross, you meet the legendary Zonia, Ian, etc., etc., etc. Then you get a community, you get Discord. There's so many things. If you're pissed at me, I'm sure there's whole pools of people where you can hang out and commiserate. There's just so many things you can do there. And the best thing is you pull your points together, and together you come to us and influences what songs that we review. Whenever you see the Patreon Alliance videos, that's where that comes from. Now, if you're a filthy capitalist and you're an isolationist and an individualist like Sori, then what you do is $125 at the gate gets you straight to the head of the line. It's the fast pass option, and you do that 3 times, you get put down to the $75 tier, and obviously you get the VIP lifetime backstage access for the website. So this is what this brother did. This is what River did. And so we're reviewing Anti-Flag. The name of the song is 2020 Vision.
We are watching the official video, but if it gets blocked, we're going to have to change it out. So hopefully it doesn't. But ready?
Yep.
Here we go.
I had a 2020 vision. Oh, the last of the wrongs undone. No more hate, no division. No one is free until the war is won. Is there an answer to the question? When will this come to its end? Or do we just keep on repeating all the things that the lonesome did? Carry on, carry on, carry on. Tell me which side are you on? Carry on, carry on, carry on. One by one. Now there's a silence on the radio. Now there's a hole right through our hearts. And the last of the wicked waiting to tear us all apart. Carry on, carry on, carry on. Tell me which side are you on? Carry on, carry on, carry on. One by one. I had a 2020 vision of the last of the wrongs undone. No more hate, no division. No one is free until the war is won. Carry on, carry on, carry on. Tell me which side are you on? Carry on, carry on, carry on. For the people of the gun. Carry on, carry on, carry on. One by one. One by one. One by one. One by one.
Yikes.
That was Daniel Shaver, I think. The very last scene was Daniel Shaver. That was a unarmed white dude. Remember where they? It was at the hotel.
Oh God. Oh jeez.
And the
Jesus,
kid
please
was
help this country.
begging for his life, and the cop gave him all these ridiculous.
He gave him these instructions
It
that
was
was
like tap your head and rub your belly or
yeah,
whatever.
and the guy had clearly been drinking, so it was going to be hard for him. But he was very compliant.
Well, he kept saying like, "Please don't kill me."
Yeah, and they tried.
And he dropped him right there and killed him, and then of course he got off. These guys are a paramilitary force. I mean, good lord.
When I hear like Ian talking about how it is like where he is, and he said that there's like a special troop that comes with weapons, but the majority don't go around with weapons, and I just think, but then that verse comes to mind: if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And that's our country. Our country was started on violence, and we've had violence every step of the way. We stopped slavery, we did it by violence. We stopped, you know what I mean? Like other places, it was England, right, where they really were able to stop
Wilberforce, they were able to do it without it. You know, there's me and Ian and Bricktown. I don't think the conversation got recorded, but it was actually one of the best conversations.
It was a good one, yeah.
If not the best conversation I've ever had in a long time, because we were just talking about the world and what the way forward is. And Ian was talking about pacifism is the way, and he was talking about real radical forms of nonviolence, even to the point where we stop glorifying and celebrating and monetizing violence, like UFC and things like that.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I mean, it's amazing that these guys. One of the things about the police is that video I did in the other forum where I was talking about how the union chief was talking about, we have 375 million interactions a year and they're mostly positive. And I said that number 375 million cannot be an accurate number. There's another number that said 75 million interactions a year. I'm like, we shouldn't have that many interactions with police. Mm-hmm. And part of my issue with law enforcement is, to some degree, it's like they're creating the necessity for who they are by constantly harassing people. Yeah. And then when you're walking down the street and you're not doing anything, like with Elijah, then they say you're resisting arrest, and it's like, my interaction with you created the necessity for arrest in the first place. Right. Like, what the hell?
Suspicious? What are you talking about?
Very strange.
So you got suspicious, and now all of a sudden I'm in trouble? Like, I think that's crazy.
Yeah. It's unbelievable stuff. But
I mean, could it be that people start acting weird when they see cops because you don't know what's going to happen?
Right.
I don't know what was going on in all this video behind this dancer, but
there was pretty iconic scenes of human beings being horrible to each other. There's Nazi.
Was that concentration camp?
Yeah, that's concentration camp. That's us dropping bombs on civilians.
There's so many bodies stacked like that. Yeah. My mind can't even process that. I just can't even.
There's the stormtroopers going after the black folks in the civil rights movement. This video was shot before the George Floyd stuff, obviously, because they would have been able to contrast them, because literally nothing has changed. Right. Right. Other than the fact that these guys are kitted up with more gear and they're now being trained by the IDF. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Our police force is trained many times by the IDF. The IDF is the Israeli Defense Force. Why are our police force being trained by the Israeli Defense Force? They became a nation in 1948. I think that we don't need their help. But here's the thing about the IDF. They're next door neighbors with Palestinians. And there's a stereotype that Palestinians are all terrorists or whatever. So the IDF is in a constant state of war. As a matter of fact, I saw a normal Finkelstein video, and Finkelstein is a Jewish dude that lets people know about what's happening over there. And he showed this video of the IDF, and it's unbelievable. Here's the video right here. And he was saying, what happened to George Floyd in the United States is happening to Palestinians every day. And you can see they got the neck, they got the knee on the neck of this Palestinian kid. And there's like 3 or 4 of those guys. Look at it, there's like 3 or 4 or 5 of those guys on this kid. Why do you have your knee on his neck? Well, and then when these guys defend themselves, all of a sudden now they're terrorists. So it's like, this is who our people are being trained by.
It doesn't make any sense. It's like the cops should be there to protect and serve the people.
Yeah.
Not to be, honestly, they're making themselves our enemies.
100%. But again, if you're trained by the IDF, who view themselves as being in a constant state of war, and they're in a very unique situation because when Americans are at war, they're at war overseas.
Yeah.
These people are at war with literally their neighbors.
Yeah.
So the line between thinking that you're a warrior versus thinking you're a public servant is completely blurred or completely non-existent to the IDF. I've known some of those guys. And some of those guys are very, very efficient, very good war fighters because they're socialized that they're at war every day of their lives. So those are the people that we want training our forces. Do you think maybe that could contribute to why folks are the way that they are? But anyway,
what was happening? This baby, first of all,
it was
we just had our ultrasound today. Everything was good. Thank God. But I see, stuff like, I don't know what's happening in the picture, but I think, like, I kept thinking, okay, did I do everything right throughout my pregnancy? Is the baby gonna be okay? And like, there are some people that they don't have that choice. Like, they can't do everything right throughout their pregnancy because they literally don't have the means to do it. And just, that's absolutely heartbreaking to me that a mom would go through all of the, it is a lot of work to carry a baby for 9 months. It's a lot on your body, it's a lot on your mind, it's a lot on everything. And to like go through all of that and then, for your baby to be unhealthy and then die, it's just unbelievable.
That was
I don't know what
was an
happened.
iconic.
What is this?
That was an iconic picture in the '80s of a starving child in Africa, and that's there was a big push, the feed the children thing. There was a big push, and that was an iconic picture of
you can put a little necklace on it.
Yeah, of what was happening. Let's not talk about how those people ended up in that situation. But anyway, so this
so to me, the guy dancing in front of the screen, it's like he's oblivious to all that stuff that's going on. To me, it reminded me of like your typical American. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people, they're not even aware. But then at the beginning, he's on the ground. Then it looked like he was working out. So I was a little bit confused. And he's in a jumpsuit that looks like he's in jail.
Well, it starts off with dancing on our graves, distraction makes us slaves.
Okay.
So
it is the idea of you're just distracted. You're not even paying. You're just dancing on the.
Yeah, and there's the iconic shot of the I think it was a Laotian guy or Viet Cong guy that he got executed right in the middle of the street, and they actually played that video. But and then there's the civil rights movement and all the rest of it. It's just like the horrors, and then of course what we're doing to the environment, which and of course he could have brought up COVID, but again they shot this video probably early in 2020. So, and then, Trump's at the end, when he was mocking the guy with the disabilities and all that, and then he gets elected president.
That was pretty funny.
So the name of the whole record is 2020 Vision.
And it's also the name of the song.
Yeah, it's the title track. And, they've got Christian nationalists, you've got Hate Conquers All. This is I appreciate the fact I can pretty much guess where these guys are on the Donald Trump question. But I appreciate the fact that it expanded beyond what was happening domestically in America to the fact that...
That's the album cover?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Put Trump on there?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
It's we should probably use that as a screen cap. And,
I'm sure it'll...
Look, I think there are significant problems with Trump, particularly in his weakness as a leader in regards to unifying people.
Yeah.
I think there's a major problem with him. But
yeah, I find him to be like immature in that department. Like not trying to bring people together, and almost like sometimes he does things that to me are like, wow, you intentionally just made that worse.
Yeah, I don't know if he's intentionally making it worse. I just think that Trump has
then how come he can say these are good people when the people are coming out because of COVID and they've got their guns out? He can call them good people, but he can call the Colin Kaepernick's sons of bitches. Like, you're intentionally why can't you, like, he was obviously trying to smooth things by saying, well, these are good people, they're just angry. Like, why couldn't he have used that same kind of
what I'm saying
smoothing?
What I'm saying is, I don't believe that he's like, I'm going to create a bunch of division in my country today. Uh-huh. He believes that the Michigan protesters are good people. That's what he really believes. And he believes that Colin Kaepernick is a son of a bitch. And he doesn't have any awareness of the implications of his constant support of militant white people in our society, and his constant detraction of peacefully protesting black people in our society. He can't think outside of his own perspectives on things and think and realize how people are going to interpret that, mm-hmm. and how it's going to further fracture our country.
Now, if he had somebody on his panel that was like, you know, right up there in the BLM stuff or whatever, to kind of get some perspective on that crew, like, do you think that would, or do you think that he's so, you know? Well,
I mean, if you look at General Mattis, for example, General Mattis should have been fit in hand in glove with Trump. He's aggressive white alpha male. Mm-hmm. He's done a lot of work. He's a man's man, loves his guns, etc. But Mattis couldn't deal with Trump because Trump doesn't countenance dissenting voices. So Mattis is saying, "Hey, we shouldn't do this. We shouldn't go here," and they couldn't work together. And now Mattis is saying, "This dude is the most divisive person I've ever seen in our country." And look, when you elect a billionaire, all things being equal, before COVID hit and all the rest of it, the economy was strong. There's no way to deny that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're a billionaire, and if, you know, we talked about his dad gave him a small loan of $1 million. Mm-hmm. That's going to hamstring you in regard to being able to countenance disagreement.
Yeah.
People are not going to disagree with a multi-millionaire or multi-billionaire in any significant fashion. So,
yeah. And you don't have, like, if you're in a situation where you have to work with somebody, then you have to figure out ways to compromise and to hear what the other one has to say. Correct. But if you're in a privileged position your whole life, then you don't have to do that. And you're right. Some people aren't even going to say anything.
Right.
And then the ones that do say something, you can just dismiss them because you don't need them.
Right. And you don't have to you look at a guy like Clinton. You don't have to like Clinton. I didn't like him. But the way that he came up, you could tell that he knew when to turn it on and when to turn it off. Mm-hmm. And he knew when to be... Clinton had black people convinced that he was for them. I mean, people used to say Clinton was the first black president, and he's done way more to destroy our community in my lifetime than anybody. But so he knew, because when you don't come from that type of privilege, you have to find ways to work with people and ingratiate yourself.
Right.
Bush just seemed kind of, not there. He just kind of seemed to be like, what should I say? Okay. And then, Obama was another guy who... Obama made a lot of attempts to be conciliatory to people. He really, really did. Especially when it came to race. There's a lot of black folks that were angry at Obama, including myself, because he stayed kind of milquetoasty on the race issue, because he understood. So he already had 96% of the black vote. So he didn't really feel the need to come out and be a certain way about the race issue. But Trump is I don't believe he's purposely trying to be divisive. I just believe that he sees the world the way that he sees it, and his entire life, if somebody disagreed with him in any significant fashion, he had the nuclear option. He could fire them or whatever. Mm-hmm. So he's like, hey, I don't like these statues being taken down. Well, okay, a decade of prison. And he doesn't. He truly believes that Colin Kaepernick and the rest of those guys are sons of bitches, and he doesn't. Most racists don't have the awareness that they're racists. You know, it's like I
Yeah.
was talking about the Central Park Karen. She tried to get the, you know, like, oh, I'm not a racist. Or even those cops that were saying they're going to slaughter all these niggers. And then when they question him, he goes, I'm not a racist. I'm just upset. So most racist people don't know that they're racist.
Yeah.
And then if you tell them they're racist, they get all angry and, you know, crazy or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't think he wakes up and says, yeah, I'm just going to be a racist bastard today and divide the country. I don't think
No,
he
I feel
doesn't
like
think that. He doesn't do that on purpose.
I don't know the politically correct word to use. You know, like when something is retarded, it's like it's pulled back, like the actual official word.
Yeah.
You know, like what's another word? We can cut this part out because
I don't think we have to cut it out. I mean, just
Like-
go ahead.
I feel like that he like mentally he's not he hasn't had enough growth in certain areas, but he's like an older man, so part of me is like shocked that he doesn't have those skills. But I think that you're right. I think that, you know, he has lived a privileged life. I'm not saying that his life has been easy or perfect, because everybody goes through stuff, but I am saying he obviously, you know, doesn't have the skills.
But anytime you grow
How can you think that?
anytime you grow up in a monolithic community, then your ability to work with others is going to be hamstrung.
What's monolithic?
So, like, if I grow up only around in the ghetto, only with certain types of black folks my entire life, and you're in the ghetto, you're in the streets, and then you get, let's say you win $1 million and you end up in some prissy white neighborhood, you're not going to be able to work with those folks. So it doesn't necessarily have to do with privilege. It just has to do with you grew up in a certain type of environment and there's a certain group of people that you function well with.
Yeah.
And you've never had to function with disparate groups of people. That's why, like, you know, moving around was a horrible situation for me as a kid as far as stability goes. But it gave me so many, you know, opportunities to learn different cultures, understanding that you had to adapt. You're in the middle of the school year, brand new group of kids.
You weave in and out of all different types of groups of people with
Right.
such smooth fluidity. I don't know if that's a word, but like,
Yeah.
it's amazing to me. And I thought that I was good with different types of people groups, but now I'm like, not. You're like next level. Like for me, if I go into a group that I'm unfamiliar with, I'm very uncomfortable for a while. Whether it's readable or not,
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Yeah, the ability to do that got me, you know, exceptions for certain organizations and stuff that I was working for, and
yeah.
you know, they would, you know, they'd send you to places, and yeah, I did a decent job, you know, just trying to be the gray man and you know, not stand out at the same time, you know, do what I need to do. But
I mean, I saw you so many times, like you'd be talking to somebody that looked like they were from, you know, the hood. Then you talk to somebody that looked like they were just like a complete racist, you know, with like the accent and everything,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean? And like, I'm like, how does he do this?
Yeah.
But like, and I always saw people walking out of those situations loving you, and I'm like, this is so weird.
yeah. So, I mean,
Of course, you haven't been able to do that on your Middle America channel.
well, I have. It just depends on what
Well,
side
I
I'm
think
after.
that's what makes people more angry.
I
Is
know.
because they're like, "Wow, I just love this guy," and then you
Yeah,
say something,
yeah.
and you're like,
Yeah.
"Wow."
Like, I didn't sign up for this, or they'll say, I thought you were open-minded,
Yeah.
which simply means I thought you were going to worship Trump like I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not think with any nuance. Now there's silence on the radio. Now there's a hole right through our hearts, and the last
Wow.
of the wicked waiting to tear us all apart.
Oh God, that's
Silence on the radio. I think it's probably talking about how music before, you know, like I always say in the 60s, like you had to say something about Vietnam. Even if you didn't believe that there was a problem, you had to talk about Vietnam.
Yeah.
Like you had to be conscious and aware of what's going on, and now that's not really the case. You know, you would figure, I say all the time, like if you look at like music in 2002, 2003, it's almost like a war didn't happen. It's very, very strange.
see. When I heard now there's a silence on the radio, to me it was like because there's so much dishonesty. First of all, we don't listen to the radio much anymore, but I guess some people do.
Yeah.
But like, there's so much dishonesty on it, and depending on, you're not getting straight news everywhere. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that should be like, okay, we're actually getting the straight story here, is if you listen to opposing sides and they're both saying the same thing.
Right.
Then you should know, okay, we're getting the story. But if the left is spinning the story one way and the right is spinning the story another way, and then you've got two stories that are like contradicting each other, then we're like, okay, where is journalism? Where has that gone? So to me, that was when it said there's silence on the radio. It wasn't that there's literally no sound, but that they've silenced truth by weaving around and making, I'm just
the media.
I'm amazed that we have accepted this of the media.
Well, the media has done it. I think they're probably the folks who run MSNBC, Fox News, CNN. They've successfully diagnosed America. Right now, Americans are completely emotional, and the logical faculties that are used to measure, like it was in the Middle America video, I was talking about, okay, this guy, this was not true. He said this, it was demonstrably false.
Yep.
He said this, it was demonstrably false. This is dangerous misinformation. And the entire discussion was about the guy. And because, I was talking about Afghanistan, and we've got this brittle peace deal with Afghanistan. And people have this simplistic, Russia paid off the Taliban to kill. It is one report that was extremely shoddy. And I was saying, hey, so let's go off that one report that has full of holes in it, and let's now take reprisals against the Taliban when we've got this brittle peace, which will then result in the death of a lot more American soldiers. So I'm talking to this, and these people, and the two people in particular, there's like a 9-comment discussion, nothing about that.
Oh my word!
And then one of them, it's just the emotions about this particular guy, and not about like, hello, let's address this. Should we destroy this brittle peace that we have with Afghanistan? And I talked about it. Should we reinitiate conflicts with these people so that we can kill more innocent Afghanis and more we can spill more American blood, or should we wait and really say, you're going to have to prove to me without a shadow of a doubt, without any holes whatsoever, that this is real. Yeah. Because people could die.
Right.
People could die. And all these people are like, oh, Trump looked the other way. But again, it's the left understands, leftist media understands that people are not going to think about that because the Afghanistan peace deal was about 3 or 4 months ago. And right now we're worried about COVID and we're worried about George Floyd. So they know that their audience is not going to. Even the Wall Street, even the New York Times talked about it. They said, he wants to, of course they had to frame it as he wants to get reelected, so he wants to maintain the peace deal with the Afghanis. Which president doesn't want to get reelected? But the point is, even the New York Times had to admit, well, there is going to be implications here. But all my leftist friends who are posting on Facebook and in all these various forums, they don't touch that at all. And then if you were to ask them, hey, would you like a situation which our president destroyed a peace deal which resulted in dead Afghanis and dead U.S. soldiers? Would you like that? They would across the board say no. We would not like that. So if the leftist media would put that in the context, then they would say, okay, well, we need to wait and see if we have more information aside from this one shoddy report that's full of holes that has a whole bunch of missing information. We need to wait and see before we do something like that. Considering this is the longest war we've ever been in.
I feel like that the media has lost its vision and its mission. Like, what is the mission? It seems to me that the mission is like, we got to make the other side look bad. And that's all that it is. Like, instead of saying, okay, we have to tell the truth, and we have to bring unity to our country, but not if we're going to sacrifice truth. So if you have to bring something that's divisive, but that division is the truth, well, then we need to still bring it.
Well, and that's why I was so pissed in the latest Middle America video, because Trump retweets that thing about the two people
no context
aiming the gun. There's no context around it. He doesn't explain what happened. He doesn't explain that the mayor doxed people in that city and put their lives in danger.
It's like, what is your point? Why did you retweet that without saying anything? Like, who does that anyway? Like, when you repost something, you put a little comment at the top so people know what your thoughts are on it.
We all know.
And he's the president. He's supposed to be leading us.
We all know Right, and we all know that he was endorsing the behavior. We all know it. And so it's great red meat for his folks, but he's not thinking about, okay, why were these people there? Why were they angry? Why did they break the gate and storm the place?
Right.
It's because the mayor who lives in that little safe gated community published the names and addresses of people who were trying to defund the police in a state that's full of guns and full of crazy people who will show up to your house with guns. So this mayor compromised the safety of these people.
Yeah.
So these people said, no, we're not going to allow you to stay back in your gated community. We're going to break down the gate and show you what we're feeling because you put us in that situation.
Yeah.
If Trump would have said, this mayor caused this horrible situation where these two people were scared out of their minds and showed up with weapons, and these people are pissed off because they're scared out of their minds because they're worried that people like that are going to show up with weapons. This is horrible. She should resign immediately. If he would have done that, that's how you rightfully frame these issues, and you don't have to agree with the protesters, Trump, and you don't have to even disagree with the people holding the guns, but you have got to frame the thing properly. And so it happens on the left, it happens on the right, and you know it's insane. It's like every man for themselves at this point.
So the people that were showing up, they were showing up because they don't want the police defunded?
No, they wanted the police defunded. You know, it's the term defund the police. Again, I
know it doesn't mean
it doesn't
let's
literally
take all their
mean,
money away.
Right. But what she did was she got on TV and she named, but because the narrative right now from the right, which of course we can't have any nuances. These people want to defund the police. They want lawlessness. You know, I was talking to some people trying to get me in this Christian forum to try to help these people understand whatever. He's like, these people want lawless because that's all they're hearing. Tucker Carlson, mob, lawless, thug, animal, da da da.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, these people are saying no justice, no peace. Hello, that is an appeal to law. But these people are framing it this way. So that's their perspective. They feel that these people are just lawless animals. They want to defund the police so that they can loot. That's how it's being framed. So there
were some people that said defund the police, and then the mayor announced these people and where they live.
Right.
And then the mob went over there for what reason?
Because they were demanding her resignation. Because
the mayors.
Yeah, because she put their lives in danger. This is a state that's flooded with guns, and now you're going to tell people where I live? Considering the current situation,
they didn't go to the place where that person lived. They went to the mayor's place.
Yeah, and the people's house was on the way, but those people didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the mayor caused the entire situation. Both groups to me are completely understandable. I'm not going to condone or condemn either one of those groups because I completely understand how fear operates in the minds of people.
The mob didn't have anything to do with.
Well, I'm not going to call them the mob. That's what Tucker Carlson says. These are protesters.
Okay,
these are protesters who have a legitimate beef. Okay. This woman put their lives in danger.
Well, she didn't put the entire group's lives at danger. She put somebody else's, right?
Well, no, she listed a bunch of people and said where their names and addresses were. So if I've got a friend, we went up against...
So they all went there to say, you shouldn't have put that information out there.
Correct, and they were demanding her resignation. But she was chilling behind some nice, safe, gated community. Well, the people that she docks don't live in a nice, safe, gated community.
Yeah. Okay.
You could just roll up where they live. So they were saying, okay, we don't care about your gate. We're going to show you how we feel. I understand that. And I'm not going to condemn or condone it. But I also understand if you're ingesting a steady diet of Fox News, I also understand why those two folks said, holy shit, we're in trouble. We got to get the guns right now. So,
okay, so when you don't like the word mob, is it because... Well, it says here, a large crowd of people, especially one that is disorderly and intent on causing trouble or violence.
Correct.
They're not intending on causing trouble or violence.
Correct.
They're actually trying to de-escalate the trouble and the violence.
The person,
you dox those people.
The person that was creating the mob behavior was the mayor.
Right. Yeah.
She was the one.
She was the one causing trouble and could have inspired some violence.
Correct.
Yeah,
but Tucker Carlson continues to use the word mob because they want to frame this protest in a monolithic fashion of these are crazy people, and so you can invalidate what they're saying. So it's a common psychological tactic that they're using. Yeah. So that's why I'm not going to use that type of terminology. Okay, because the fact of the matter is, nobody got hurt in that particular protest.
Just the gate.
So yeah.
which I may or may not believe happened. Watch the Middle America
there's video evidence that something happened to the gate. So but I don't think that that's material to the issue.
No, I agree.
So we've got members of our government that are now, when you look at social media, it's like, man, social media is so dangerous. But when you have a politician that's using the most powerful man on the planet who has 30 million Twitter followers and he does something like that, I mean, it's crazy, and he could do so much good on Twitter to bring us together and to create unity. But he doesn't have the understanding that needs to happen. Like, he feels that there's one way. He got on Fox and says black people need to learn history in the context of the statue thing. It's like, how lacking in self-awareness can you be?
They know their history. That's why they want the statues taken down. And the white people don't know their history, and that's why they don't understand why the statues are coming down.
Correct. Like, somebody was like, Thomas Jefferson? Do these people even know history? I said, I said, smart guy, you do realize that he raped his slave for years. What? He had slaves? I said, yes, Thomas Jefferson. Oh. No, look, I'm not a big tear down the statues guy. I don't, again, that's just, it's like I said on the show with Bricktown and Ian, that's just metaphorical victories, but nothing on a federal level has changed since the death of George Floyd. Trump was able to federally go after the statue thing, but we still can't do anything for police reform yet. So, he's got people focusing on these metaphorical victories instead of going for the actual win. But at the same time, even though I said that about Trump, I have a hard time believing that Trump is the actual problem. Jimmy Dore says Trump isn't the problem, Trump is a symptom of a problem, and I'm not even sure I agree with that. These issues have been deep rooted in our country for generations. And we can't blame the current unrest on Trump. What was Trump doing during the Rodney King situation? What was Trump doing during the Amadou Diallo situation? Tamir Rice? Like, this is something that's been going on for generations in our country. So to lay it all at the feet of Trump is a very strange thing to me. But people have sort of glommed onto him as the source of all our problems. And I'm not defending Trump. But here is what happens when you make Trump the sum total of all of our problems. That means whoever is not Trump is the ultimate solution. Well, the alternative to Trump is Mr. Biden. And he's done way worse for the black community than Trump ever will. So I think it's dangerous, actually, to say that Trump is the nexus or even the symptom of all of our problems. We've got economic issues that have been going on for quite some time. With unfettered capitalism, especially as it relates to healthcare. We have the other thing that people aren't noticing, because there's white folks rioting and looting and black folks rioting and looting. Nobody seems to connect the fact that since the COVID scare, people have been shut up in their homes. They haven't been able to work. And so when you have the combination of anger and then economic opportunity via looting, there's people looting there because of the COVID situation that don't care at all about George Floyd. And nobody's making that connection. So there's so many things that's happening right now in the spirit and heart of our country that they're overflowing now because people are finally sick and tired of it. But these are things that have been going on since the Obama administration, the Clinton administration, the Bush administration, the Bush 1 administration.
Yeah.
I mean, to put it all on, I forgot, Noam Chomsky said that Trump was the most, dangerous, crazy, whatever. It's like, Bush got us into a war on false pretenses and we killed 1 million innocent people. What the hell are you talking about? Like, that's just factual. It's not true. So, all these exaggerated superlatives about Trump really is a man of his time. He's just he's a guy that, it seems to me, doesn't realize that he's the president at times. Because if you're a private citizen, you can retweet stuff and not put any context around it and, it'll be inconsequential. Well, it's not inconsequential in your little circle. Because I'm a big believer in, if you retweet something or whatever, you better be accurate, because you don't want to contribute to the current zeitgeist. But he doesn't seem to have the understanding that he's a president, especially when he takes to Twitter. So he'll post a thing and the guys go white power, and then he'll delete it, and then he'll just keep going like nothing happened. It's just so weird. So I hear what they're saying and all this, but you're right though. The guy dancing and all that seems to be like the distraction that people have, that we've had as Americans for years.
Big smile on the face.
Yeah, because the Exxon thing, I think, happened in the late 80s. I think I remember when I first came to the country, I can remember something about the oil spill. My mom was telling me about it. My mom was pretty progressive now that I think about it.
That's that dance that they do on the Fortnite.
Yeah. My mom, that's Daniel Shaver there. And like, I think what he's talking about is
I remember
for generations, we were talking about Nazi Germany, Vietnam, civil rights movement, Exxon spill, 80s, 90s, into the thousands, that, we're taken by this entertainment and things like that to distract us. But it's like, I'm not necessarily certain that that's all wrong. I don't think it's healthy for people to ingest all the evils of the world without any sort of respite. I mean, there's a balance. I think because of this COVID stuff and the George Floyd stuff and the protests and the threat of these mobs coming into your neighborhood now, people are they now have a vested interest in paying attention to everything that's happening. But at the same time, I think you do need to be able to distract yourself or to shut your mind off from something. So, it's one of the reasons why I spaced out the System of a Down song, because we had done 2 Rage Against the Machine songs, and so I'm trying to give people some respite between
the topic.
So I do think that that's important. Like Anne Frank in the Diary of Anne Frank, like she was talking about like this boy that they were with, or that was there, and she was talking about laughing and things like that, and they're hiding from Nazis. I think that's important, because I've said it before, like social media and the way the internet is now, it kind of gives us this almost omniscience that only God has, to where you can see now every single evil on the planet, and then you can rewind it and watch it again and watch it again. And I mean, you run the risk of being desensitized, but you also run the risk of being traumatized. And I think there's a lot of traumatized people out there. I'm sure, like I said, there's going to be some study 20, 30 years from now that says like all of us in this day and age have been traumatized, self-traumatized by media, by social media. So
I think especially this generation, because we didn't always have that. When I say this generation, I specifically mean like our age group. Because we didn't always have all that access. Like our kids, they always had that access. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because they were raised in it.
Right.
We didn't have that. Then all of a sudden it was available to us, and then it became a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a terrible situation to be in. So, but at the same time, like, people have been distracted. I just don't think that we can ever go back to where we had no consciousness whatsoever of what was going on. I think that that's impossible now.
Yeah.
You're going to see it. As a matter of fact, most of the time that I shoot a video on MA, it's because somebody sends me something. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention who, but all the Bo fans can blame someone. I'm not going to mention the person's name. They'll get put up on a pike.
Don't dox them.
So I mean, if you have Facebook or Twitter or whatever, like, it's unavoidable. You're going to experience it. So I think we could actually do for some dancing and that's the other thing. It's like the COVID thing happened, so the movies are closed.
I know.
And people are just stuck.
You can't go to the restaurant. You can't go to an escape room.
Yeah.
You can't. There's nothing to do.
People are stuck.
Home, stuck hearing about all this stuff. And the other thing too is I feel like, so there's all this heavy stuff. You've got the George Floyd situation. You have the riots happening. You have abortion is still happening. I saw this video of this father was outside with the kid while the mom was inside. It's a group that goes and like talks to people and tries to get them to not abort their child, and offers the help and stuff like that. And like the father was saying all kinds of stuff while the little girl, who was only like 3 or 4 years old, was beating up her doll, slamming it on the ground and punching it in the face. And it was like, I don't know. I've always felt very uncomfortable with kids doing things like that to dolls because I feel like, you know, most kids kind of have the, like, I feel like a child that has not been, you know, neglected or abused or whatever kind of has the, oh, mommy nurtured me, let me nurture the doll.
Yeah.
So, like, it's weird, you know, like Orion, he goes over, he's trying to feed the baby doll chicken nuggets and trying to talk to her. You know, it's not, his instinct isn't to take her and bash her head up against the ground.
Yeah.
So it's like, why is this little girl doing this? Like, what's going on in, you know? And then just to know that her baby brother or sister was inside being killed at the same time. It was just very, but anyway, like, there's so much going on in our culture and there's so much happening and it's so heavy. And so, you know, like, I want to post some awareness, you know, so then I post some awareness stuff, but then it gets so heavy for me and then I want to post something that's not heavy, but then when I post something that's not heavy, I feel like it's like making a joke at a funeral, you know what I mean? Like, it's just it's like, how do you transition from, you know, especially because I get so angry when people don't see, I'm not used to, like, people being so blind on an obviously very transparent situation. Like, you saw the video, I don't understand how come you're saying anything to defend this. Like, some stuff I can see how it's like, well, you know, like, we can't, you know, whatever. But there's some stuff that's so obvious. It's like, why are you defending this brutality?
Nobody's defending Chauvin. I haven't seen anybody defend Chauvin, the dude that was kneeling on George Floyd's neck. I haven't seen anybody defend him.
No, but they make it like...
But what they do is... And this happens.
They make it look like that's a one-off situation.
Right, that's the thing.
It never happens.
Right, there's a lot of people that are looking at this as a one-off situation. They're looking at it by itself.
Yeah.
Whereas we're looking at it as a string of
like, did you not see all the other? It's just.
Yeah. But you know, it's a terrible state of affairs we're in, and you know, it's a perfect storm. You know. People can't go out and entertain themselves and things like that. They're stuck in their houses. It's just a recipe for disaster. So if you can do something to get yourself some levity, then we should do it. You know, I mean, I'm going to try to do a fireside tonight.
Yeah, but it's always going to go back to those topics.
Not necessarily. If I call it non-political or whatever, like.
We're going to talk about cotton candy.
Yeah, we'll talk about cotton candy.
And your annoying pets.
We can talk about cotton candy or annoying pets. I'll put that in the title. Or I'll come up with a thingamajiggy, how we can all find ways to get together. Because like, I disagree with people. I disagree with them stridently. You know, that doesn't mean I don't love them. I mean, if I have a serious problem with you, I'm just not going to talk to you. Like, you know, you're out of existence. But so if I'm wrestling and haggling with somebody, it's because I like them.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I agree with you that, like, you know, remember they shut down that lady's show? Can't think of her name.
Roseanne?
Now. Yeah, they just shut down her show and stuff. And you're like, that's totally ridiculous. Like, we have to have conversation, blah, blah, blah. And the thing is, like, I'm just getting to the point where I'm so sick of seeing some of the things that people say because it's so disheartening that I'm like, shut them down. I have no patience for this.
Well, it's really interesting.
I told my mom. My mom was like, I was talking to so-and-so. I was like, yeah, I blocked her right off my thing. I'm like, I can't hear from that woman anymore. Like,
sometimes you need a mental health break.
I can't do it. I can't do it with that lady.
Sometimes you need a mental health break. What do you give the song?
Okay, topic was...
We're all blurry again. Somebody said to just put it on manual.
Yeah, I keep meaning to do that and then I forget to.
Oh, okay.
So, I think it had a cool, catchy sound to it and stuff like that. Topic was obviously really, like, whoa, but I think really important. So I think because the topic was important, and I think that the dancing, I agree with you wholeheartedly, River. The music video is extremely important to see with it, because otherwise you wouldn't see that element of it, where people are just ignoring it, turning their back on it, and just dancing anyway. I think that we need to be able to see it. I still think that it's important to dance, but I think that we need to face our issues and do what we can to change them. I think it's a 10. I think it's just very important. It was almost a silent count for me, but I'm gonna go with a 10.
It's 9.3 for me. Good stuff. Good stuff. There you are, dear listener. Vin out.
Sorry, out.
Gone.
I had a 2020 vision of the last of the wrongs undone. No more hate, no division. No one is free until the war is won. Is there an answer to the question? When will this come to its end? Or do we just keep on repeating all the things that the lonesome did? Carry on, carry on, carry on. Tell me which side are you on? Carry on, carry on, carry on. One by one. Now there's a silence on the radio. Now there's a hole right through our hearts. And the last of the wicked waiting to tear us all apart. Carry on, carry on, carry on. Tell me which side are you on? Carry on, carry on, carry on. One by one. I had a 2020 vision of the last of the wrongs undone. No more hate, no division.